What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, guys, we are going to be talking about England's last game that we went and played, Denmark, in the UEFA Nations League in match day 4. It was, of course, at Wembley, guys. Anyway, guys, let's just get straight into today's video. So we made 5 changes from the last game against Belgium. Talking about the starting 11, so we started with Pickford, James, Walker, Cody, Maguire, Maitland-Niles, Rice, Phillips, Mount, Rashford and Kane. Getting into the overall reaction now. What's England's biggest problem? Awful. Once Harry Maguire got sent off, England struggled. England lacked in creativity. It was never a penalty. We created the better chances in the second half, but we couldn't take them. I don't know why Grealish didn't come on. Is it over for England? The referee was shocking. The performance was not great. England have got discipline issues. Anyway, guys, no messing about. Let's just get straight into today's video. What did I make of the performance? I think it was an awful performance by England. I think you've got to sort of look at the game overall as a perspective. It was not a good game by England. I thought we performed well below par, and I don't think we were not good enough in that game against Denmark. It was an awful game. I think it was shocking to watch. I thought in times, I'll tell you what, in that game I was falling asleep. I was literally falling asleep in that game. England were not good enough in that game overall. We were awful, we were not good enough. It was a shocking performance by England. I think you've got to be beating teams like Denmark at the end of the day. Denmark have got some great players, they've got some fantastic players, they've got some fantastic quality players in there as well, the likes of Eriksen, you name them really. They've got some really good players there, but I think at the end of the day, this is at home. It was a game that we should have won. I don't think it was the fact that we got embarrassed. I think it was just the fact that, you know, the performance overall was awful and it wasn't good enough by England. Once again, we've got these discipline issues, and I'll get into that later into this video as well. It wasn't good enough for England. Is it over now for England in the UEFA Nations League? You never know. I think if we don't win our next game, it could be over. The performance overall wasn't great by England. I thought in the game the referee was shocking. He gave away some shocking free kicks to Denmark, and you're thinking, what is this referee on? I thought the referee had a poor game as well. And then you've got players on the bench like Jack Grealish, who is probably your most creative midfielder on the bench, and he's not coming on to change the game. So he's got players like Jack Grealish sat on the bench, scratching his head and scratching his arse, thinking, what do I need to do to get playing? And Grealish would have changed the game for England, and he just thought, yeah, this is what I'm going to go with. And Southgate reacted when we were 1-0 down, but you know, we didn't take our chances in the second half, and we couldn't take them, and we paid the price. And yeah, we lacked in creativity, and if you would have threw on Jack Grealish, that would have been your problem solved really. And yeah, not good enough by England overall. Talking about now, in the first half now, I thought the first half for me was really poor by England. It was very flat, very boring. It was unconvincing. We were uninspiring to watch. We were not good enough in the first half. I thought, you know, you'd be just questioning, where's the urgency, where's the energy, where's the intensity, where's the tempo. We were just slow, flat. The movement was too slow. The transition was too slow. Everything was slow in that first half, and you know, we're not sharp. We're not bright whatsoever. It was like a hangover from once we beat Belgium. And I even said in my last video, I said, don't get too carried away after this performance against Belgium, because we've beaten Belgium, who was first in the FIFA rankings, and all of a sudden we go into this game against Denmark and all of a sudden we go into this game against Denmark thinking, oh yeah, great victory against Belgium, and then we go and get our pants pulled down against Denmark. So for me, I thought the first half was not good enough. I thought we were boring, flat. We were not good enough. We were not inspiring to watch. It was unconvincing to watch. I was falling asleep in that first half, and we were not good enough. Didn't create anything in that half. I thought the half, you know, it was going from bad to worse, obviously, because as Harry Maguire got sent off, and then it was 10v11. Denmark had then obviously Denmark then had the extra man on the pitch, which was an advantage for them. And then a couple of minutes later, Kyle Walker gives away a penalty, which was probably the softest penalty I've seen. Obviously, you'd be thinking, yeah, it'll be the follow through, but I think yeah, I mean, the half was not good enough for England. And then, I mean, once the half was coming to a close, well, even if, I don't even think, if you look at the first half, if you look at that first half performance by England, we were not good enough, and simply not good enough. Second half, I thought we played better. I thought we were more sharper, more brighter, played with intensity, high tempo, played with energy, considering that we were a man down. And we sort of got going a little bit. I thought we created some chances, but we just didn't take our chances. And I think most of the England fans are screaming for Jack Grealish to come on to change the game, to change the dynamic in the game as well. Didn't happen. He decides to bring on Henderson and Sancho. Obviously, Sancho was the right move, but I think bringing on Jack Grealish would have been better. To get us forward and to give us the creativity as well in the midfield. And then I think going forward we just couldn't bury our chances, and that was just not pure not good enough by England. And I mean, second half I thought we just reacted too late. The substitutions came on too late, and you would have just thought, if we don't improve in the next 10 minutes, I'm making substitutions really. And but yeah, I think overall the performance wasn't good enough by England. I thought we were awful. It was crap to watch, and I mean, we were not good enough. We just lacked in creativity, and like I said before, the referee had a poor game, and the performance wasn't great by England. And I mean, and then it sort of kicked off once the final whistle went. Reece James got himself. And then it kicked off after the final whistle went. Reece James got himself sent off, which rules out 2 players now for the next game against Belgium. So which is not good enough as well by these England players, and it's just pure discipline issues at the moment with England as well. So yeah, I mean, performance wasn't good enough, and I mean, there's not much more really I can say on that performance. Shocking. Spineless, awful, shocking, and there's not much more to say really. What is England's biggest problem at the moment? Now, my main issue with these England players, and what's the biggest problem for me right now, I'd have to say these discipline issues, because we've seen it now 3 times by these England players. You've got the likes of Abraham, Sancho and Chilwell going to Abraham's party. These players know that under the circumstances, we're in a pandemic at the minute as well. They know that they shouldn't be going to a party. They know that they shouldn't be doing this. Obviously then Abraham, Sancho and Chilwell were not involved for the rest of those games as well. And then obviously once again, it just happens once again when England were away in Iceland. Foden and Greenwood were inviting girls to the team hotel. And then once again, obviously you've got Reece James and Harry Maguire getting sent off as well. So I think the main issue for me is the discipline issues with England at the minute. The players are just simply not respecting Gareth Southgate as a manager. What's going on right now with the coronavirus pandemic, they think they're going to get away with it. But when you see all these pictures flying around, it's not good enough by these England players. And you're representing England at the end of the day. We're a big club, this is what you're doing, and it's not good enough. And then obviously Harry Kane held a meeting with all of the England players to stop these discipline issues, because it's just happening on and off the field really, and these players have got to be told. The main issue for me is the discipline issues on and off the pitch. The players are not respecting Gareth Southgate as a manager. They're representing England. Everyone's watching these players as well around the world. They're showing themselves up really, off the pitch especially, when you've got the likes of Abraham, Sancho and Chilwell going to a party, Foden and Greenwood inviting girls into a hotel and then getting fined by Iceland as well. It's not good enough. It's just happening time and time again, and the list goes on really. Like I just said then, I'm just repeating myself really, but Reece James and Harry Maguire got sent off in the last game against Denmark. So just discipline issues for me, and that's the main issue for England at the minute. And then obviously the next point for me is the manager. Now the thing is with Gareth Southgate for me is long term, but what it is with Gareth Southgate, he can lose that odd game as well. And then obviously then the spotlight is on Gareth Southgate. The tactics were poor, the game plan was poor, everything's on the manager. Now I understand that as well myself, but you can put the blame on the manager all you like, but then you're thinking Southgate out, Southgate in, and then if you go Southgate out, who's supposed to replace Southgate? Arsene Wenger? Jesus, he'll make England toxic. Eddie Howe for me doesn't have enough experience. He's only been Bournemouth's manager, so for me, who would you replace for Gareth Southgate just after one game? For me, I think the manager thing is just ridiculous, because after just one game, all the fans are just saying, oh, Southgate out, Southgate out. Who are you supposed to replace Gareth Southgate with? I think you've got to be careful what you say. That will happen with Gareth Southgate, where he'll go on a good run of games and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we lose that one game with Gareth Southgate because it's that odd game. But obviously the spotlight's on the manager because he takes the full blame for it. And obviously he did have to take the blame for that Denmark as well, because obviously it was his fault, it was his tactics, it was his game plan. He was the one that put out that team, that was his formation. The system didn't work. I mean, in the last couple of games we've shown it, in the Iceland game away from home as well. Once again, not a lack of effort against Denmark, once again, just a lack of effort from these England players, just no urgency as well, and there was a lack of creativity as well against Denmark. But it's not only just happened in this game against Denmark, it happened against Iceland away from home as well. You just got to take these little points into consideration, that this is what we need to work on. Going forward, as a team, we have to improve. For me, the biggest problem for me with England at the minute is the discipline issues, and that needs to be sorted out. That's down to the players to sort that out. I hope it's been sorted out this time round, and I hope we're not going to see any more issues on and off the field in this camp now coming up in these next 3 games against Ireland, Denmark and Iceland as well. It just needs to be sorted out amongst the players themselves, and just need to stop all these stupid things on and off the pitch, really. Is the UEFA Nations League over for England? Technically, England is still in it, if you ask me. We're 7 points, we've got 2 games to go. If we don't beat Belgium away from home, it's practically over for England. We're not going to go through whatsoever, and that's why we need to beat Belgium in our next game. A loss and a draw is not good enough. We have to beat Belgium away from home. Can I see it happening? It's 50-50, and it depends what England we see on the day. Do we turn up? Do we not turn up? I mean, technically we're still in it. We're 7 points with 2 games to go, but for me, we have to win both games. We have to beat Belgium and we have to beat Iceland at the end of the day. We have to beat Belgium first, and then Denmark have to lose to Belgium, and then we have to beat Iceland. So it's 2 games that we have to win at the end of the day. If we don't get 2 wins, then it's definitely over for England. It's all going to depend on our next game against Belgium away from home. If we don't beat Belgium, it's definitely over for England. It's our Nations League over, pretty much. Who was the worst player on the pitch and why? You know what, if you go back to that starting 11, it's tough, because most of those players didn't have a good game. Pickford, no, you can't really give it him. James obviously got the sending off as well. Walker obviously gave away the penalty. Cody thought he had a good game. Maguire got sent off as well. Maitland-Niles got taken off after 36 minutes. Rice, I don't know. Phillips, just not enough creativity from him as well. Mount didn't really have a good game, neither did Rashford and neither did Kane, really. So it's tough to pick, because I think 2 to 3 players played well, but the rest played awful. If you have to pick one, I don't know, it's tough, because you don't know who had the worst game out of all those 11 players, really, out on the pitch. If I had to give it one player that sort of, costed us the game, I'd give it Kyle Walker for sure. How do we beat Belgium? Now, obviously, coming into this game against Belgium, it's going to be difficult for England. Definitely is, because Belgium are a side that have got some really good, they've got some real quality players in there. It's going to be difficult. Obviously, we did beat them at home, and I think coming into this game against Belgium, it's going to be even tougher. They've got the home advantage, but I think maybe going away from home, we might have the advantage, because obviously more teams going away from home win. So it depends on what side of England we see, if we turn up or we don't turn up, and it's the fact that we've got to turn up to this game as well. And I think it's all about, we've got to prepare well, not only just mentally but physically as well. We know physically it's going to be hard for us, and we got through it against Belgium at home. We stunned them, and I think we've got to try and do it again. But they're a well set out team. Obviously, Roberto Martinez has done a fantastic job with Belgium at the minute as well, and they've done fantastic themselves. And they're a great side. They're number one. They're ranked number one. Bloody hell, I can't even get my words out. They're the ranked number 1 team in the FIFA standings, so it's going to be difficult. And they like to sort of set out with the 3-4-3, so it's going to be really difficult to really break them down. And I think what you have to do is when you play with the 3-4-3, you've got to really stretch out Belgium. They're going to make it difficult for us because they're playing with three strikers and they go with 4 in the midfield, but they use Carrasco and Meunier as wingers. Really, Meunier's more of a right back, so he's pushed up into as a right wing back, and Carrasco doesn't really play as a left back, so he's really dictating that left side as well. So it's going to be really tough to really break this down, and I think the way you're only going to beat this Belgium side is you've got to stretch them out. You're going to play with high intensity, high tempo. You've got to be bright on the ball. You've got to be sharp on the ball. We need quick movement as well. This is going to take it up to with the football intelligence, and we've got to be really, technically going to have to get it right on the day. And we need to sort of pick out. This is a test for England as well, because at the end of the day, this is a team that's going to come in with confidence, and this is a team that will want to win this game, and this is a team that that will want to win. So I think with Belgium, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be tough. We know it's going to be a tough game against Belgium. They always like to give us a good game, but with Belgium, you're going to have to play we have to have a bright start to the game. We need a quick start to the game, high intensity, high tempo. We need to get low and hard crosses into the box. We need the creativity in the side, and I think it's the fact that Gareth Southgate has to get the right team selection as well. I think playing Jack Grealish would be a bonus as well, because then he would give us the creativity in the midfield and also going forward as well. And obviously now with hopefully Henderson will get more game time this time as well, with Calvin Phillips out injured as well. So against Belgium, it's going to be tough. We always know it's going to be tough against this Belgium side. They'll always give us a good game, always a good test, a good fight, and you've got to put on that England top, and you've got to give it absolutely everything that you've got. Fight, passion, pride, play for the club, play for the badge, and you've got to give it absolutely everything. You've got to give it absolutely 110% against this Belgium side. They'll like to frustrate us, and we're going to have to really stretch them out on the counter-attack. I don't really like this formation, what Gareth Southgate's going with, because it's just too negative for me. And but we just have to be really attacking, and we need to show that intent in our play. We need to show the energy as well. So it's everything that you need out of this England squad. Obviously, Reece James and Harry Maguire can't play this game, so I think without them, are we going to struggle? No, because we've got the squad depth there. So he's got plenty of players to pick from, and fortunately no Trent Alexander-Arnold for this game as well, so that's going to be a bit of a struggle. But who does come in? Probably Kyle Walker or Kieran Trippier. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day, but you're going to have to really stretch out this Belgium side. And as we were playing Belgium last time, they got tired and we wore them down, and I thought we did that brilliantly at home. And I think we're going to have to try and do the same thing against them, but don't always do the same thing. And I thought, the decision making last time was brilliant. We've got to keep that up. The game management was brilliant last time round as well. So you've got to use your football intelligence. With the decision making needs to be there, and the game management needs to be spot on as well. And he needs to get his right substitutions and the right team selection at the end of the day to beat this Belgium side, because they're fucking brilliant. And we have to beat this Belgium side to sort of go through, really, and to keep our hopes alive for the Nations League, really. Anyway, getting into the stats now. Possession for England, it was 43.7%, and for Denmark it was 56.3%. Goals for England, it was 0, and for Denmark it was 1. Total shots for England, it was 15, and for Denmark it was 10. Shots on target for England, it was 5, and for Denmark it was 4. Shot accuracy for England, it was 33.3%, and for Denmark it was bang on 40%. Shots inside the box for England, it was 7, and for Denmark it was 6. Shots outside the box for England, it was 8, and for Denmark it was 4. Total passes for England, it was 438 passes, and for Denmark it was 571 passes. The pass accuracy for England was 83.1%, and for Denmark it was 87.1%. 29.6%. Getting into the substitutions now, Maitland-Niles went off for Mings to talk about Ainsley's performance. Some positive for Ray's forward down the left early on his wing-back role, but sacrificed just 36 minutes in after Maguire's red. Rashford went off for Clive-Lewin to talk about Rashford's performance. Gave the ball away a couple of times early on, allowing Denmark to counter, and was mainly limited to ambitious efforts from distance, forced to drop into a deeper, more defensive role in the second half before coming off with 20 minutes to play. Mount went off for Sancho. Talk about Mason's performance. England's main threat early on down the right side and a real danger cutting in off the flank. Denied in the second half when Schmeichel made a brilliant save to parry away his header, replaced with 20 minutes to play after an energetic performance. Rice went off for Henderson. Talk about Declan's performance. Tried his luck from distance during the first half, but his primary role was to screen in front of England's defence and was busy even before the red card, with Denmark having an extra man in the midfield, subbed off with 15 minutes to play after putting in a big effort. Next up, we've got Belgium. Obviously, Belgium are first in the table. Like I said, this is going to be difficult. This is going to be tough for England. It's going to be a physical showdown, and it's all about getting the right mentality, the right mindset. We've got to prepare well for this game. It's going to be tough against Belgium once again, and we've got to give it 110% against this side. We have to give it our all. We have to beat Belgium to keep our hopes alive for the Nations League. If we don't win this, it's all over for England. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be tough. It's all about get the right mentality, the right mindset. It's all about Gareth has to pick the right team. He has to put the players in the right positions. He needs to balance the team out right. The structure in the team needs to be right. We need depth in the team, and he needs to select the right formation for the game. Mind you, he's going to go with a bloody 3-4-3 or something like that. So far, Belgium have scored 2.5 goals per game, and they've conceded 1 goal per game. They have won 3, drawn none, and lost 1. They've obviously lost to us, England, 2-1 away from home. They have never been beaten yet at home in the UEFA Nations League this season. The last time England beat Belgium was on Sunday, the 11th of October 2020, and it ended 2-1 to England, which was the latest win. The last time England lost to Belgium was on Saturday, the 14th of July 2020, and it ended 2-0 to Belgium, but that was in the World Cup. England have only lost once to Belgium, and that was back in 1936, and it ended 3-2 to Belgium. The players to look out for is Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Pret, Witsel, De Bruyne, Meunier, Torgan, Hazard, Tillemans, Chadli, Dendoncker, Trossard, Lukaku, Eden Hazard, Mertens, Benteke and Batshuayi. Hope you guys have enjoyed another video. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you are new. See you guys in a video in the next couple of days, and peace.